All right, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk. This is the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. I'm your tour guide around the SWAC. C. Wells coming at you. And we're going to recap this first game of the men's SWAC tournament. Quarterfinal number 1, Alabama A&M Alcorn State, the number 2 seed Braves against the number 7 seed Bulldogs. We're going to recap that game, and then we're going to come back later tonight and recap the 1-8 matchup, and we'll do the same thing tomorrow. Then the same thing on Friday, then the same thing on Saturday. So we're going to recap these games almost immediately afterwards. So make sure y'all keep it locked here. So keep it locked here. Check my socials for anything that dropped. Facebook is SWAC Talk, Instagram SWAC Talk, Twitter SWAC Talk 76. Don't forget to like the video, share, comment, thoughts on the game, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. So let's go ahead and get into this because, like I say, these aren't going to be very long. They're just going to kind of be game They're going to kind of be game recaps and my thoughts on the game. Alcorn, for the second year in a row, goes out in the first round, this time as a 2 seed. Last year it was as the 1 seed. They lose to Alabama A&M Bulldogs by a score of 75-63. This game basically was the tale of two halves. The first half, Alcorn, they jumped out to a lead. They didn't really seem like they were in any danger of losing this game. I honestly felt like Alcorn was going to win this game. Not so much in a blowout, but I thought they would kind of keep the lead. Maybe A&M get close, and then they build the lead back up to be one of them seesaw type of games. But a game where you never really felt like that team was in doubt of losing. That's how I felt this first half was going to lead into the second half. And it kind of looked like that because Alcorn went up by as much as 8. And then Alabama A&M had a huge second half, outscoring the Braves 41-20, 41-26 to pick up a 75-63 victory and move on to the semifinals. This team is, I like to say that they're a 9-9 team, and they are the definition of a 9-9 team. They can beat anybody, and they can be beaten by anybody. They had a tremendously hot shooting second half, especially from 3. Overall in the game, it didn't shoot great from 3. They were only 7 of 22 from the 3-point line in the game, but they really had a great second half shooting the ball. And they were able to just go on a run and hold once they got the lead, Alcorn kind of took the lead back, but then A&M went on a run and took the lead for good. And Alcorn just never could really get back into it. Braves ended up shooting 5 of 17 from the 3-point line on the night, 29%. Alcorn also shot 37% from the field, 20 of 54. A&M 23 of 56 from the field for 41%. 84% from the free throw line for the Bulldogs, 22 of 26. That's a huge factor right there. Alcorn 18 of 25 for 72%. Bulldogs, they had their way on the boards. They had a 41-34 margin in rebounding. So they basically took control of this game in the second half and never let it go. Amari Peak had 16 points. Lorenzo Downey also had 16 points for the Bulldogs. Their bench was great, especially in the second half. 31 points off the bench. Really solid game. They had some big threes by some of their role players in the second half because they were 1 for 11 in the first half from the 3-point line. So ultimately, they ended up going 6 of 11 in the second half, which is very good. That's 54%. So they shot tremendously well from 3 in the second half after a cold shooting first half. And this is not a team that's gonna knock down a lot of threes. They pretty much top out at like 4 or 5 a game. So for them to hit this number, they really were solid there. Like I said, they had the edge on the boards, 41-34, including 12 offensive rebounds. They had 15 assists on the night, 13 turnovers, 3 blocks, and 5 steals. Alcorn, 11 assists, 11 assists, 8 steals, 1 block, and 14 turnovers. Both teams were even in points off a turnover, 16 for A&M, 15 for Alcorn. Alcorn had 10 fast break points to 4 for the Bulldogs, 24 points in the paint for A&M, 26 for the Bulldogs. Fouls were even, 22-21. A&M had their largest lead was 12 late in the game. Alcorn's largest lead was 8. So, like I said, first half, this was a 3-point halftime game. Really, it should have been 1, but A&M allowed Byron Joshua to just drive down the court late in the first half and sneak in a layup to put the halftime score at 37-34. But like I said, A&M played a great second half. EJ Williams had a really solid game for them. He had 8 points and 5 rebounds. Amari Peak, 16 points and 5 rebounds. He also had a steal. Downey, 16 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Tucker had 5 points and 5 assists on the night. Also had 6 rebounds, so he had a really solid game. McLean had 8 points off the bench, including 2 big 3-pointers to start that surge for A&M in the second half. Randall had 7 points. Lee had 6 points off the bench. Harvell had 5 points off the bench. Chad Moody, he only had 2 points off the bench tonight, but they did a great job without him. That's your freshman of the year. They did a really good job without him. Alcorn was led by Jeremiah Gambrell with 16 points. Looked like in that first half he was going to start to catch fire. He had 2 threes back to back, including a nice pull-up 3 in transition. But ultimately he would finish 3 of 8 from 3 and 6 of 13 from the field, 1 or 2 from the line, having 16 points. Jeremiah Kendall finished with 11 points and 8 rebounds on the night. He also had 3 assists. Other than that, Joshua had 9 points. They got 2 points from the other 2 starters, Prejo and Hawkins. They combined for 2 points on the night. So you really can't, you're not going to really win without great play from the rest of your guys. Gaines Wyatt and Thorne each had solid games. They had 12 points and 10 points respectively, but just not that production from guys that you normally get it from in these games. And this snaps a 9-game winning streak, and that was my biggest concern for Alcorn coming into this game was, you have a winning streak. How long can you keep it going? And in a tournament, it's tough to kind of maintain that momentum from the regular season. I don't subscribe to the theory that you should lose before you come into the tournament. Some people always say, you need to take a loss before you get. No, I think you need to stay as hot as you can, and they did. And A&M just was a resilient bunch today. This game, even though they didn't lead the whole game, it felt like the game they had with Southern could never really get the game back under control once A&M kind of got a lead. This is not a team that's going to overwhelm you with points. They're not a really great offensive team, but they're very scrappy. They don't, when the game gets like herky-jerky, that's when I think they play their best basketball. And that's what happened. This game kind of started just kind of going in their way. I think early in the second half, I felt like, and I tweeted out that this is A&M's game. This is their style of game. And they looking very comfortable. They were losing at the time, but I just felt like this game was more their type of game. Alcorn, like I said, they've been playing really solid basketball for the last month and a half. And I've obviously going to catch up with you, but this is just not the right time to turn in a bad performance. And that goes for any team. You don't want to turn in a bad performance or have a bad half in these kind of settings because there is no tomorrow. And this game, it just highlighted that Alcorn has had problems the last 2 years in the tournament. They've been a great regular season team. Great job by Coach Bussey to even get these guys on win 9 games in a row and get the 2 seed. But ultimately, A&M played a great second half. They didn't play a bad first half, but I didn't think they played a good first half. I mean, shooting 1 for 11 from 3 in the first half is always going to be a game where I feel like you're just not doing your best, So I think that this was it was an upset. I mean, 2-7 is upset. A 9-9 team beating a team that's 13-5. This is just one of those kind of games that you get in the SWAC tournament, and it's the first game of the day. So we'll be back tonight, late tonight after the Grambling Alabama State game, and we'll talk about that game in a recap. So with this being, first game, upset. This is going to be a crazy tournament. I can feel it. I will say I do think this Alabama A&M team, if they can get past, they can continue this momentum in the second round, they could get to the championship. Now, whether they can win it, that's a different story. But this is a team that's knocked off Grambling, Southern, and Alcorn. Those are 3 of the top 4 teams in the conference, and they've knocked those teams off in recent weeks. So they're not afraid of anybody, and they're doing this without their leading scorer, who's been hurt for the past 9 games. So they just have found a way to make things happen, and they found a way to get wins. And today was that kind of game for them. So for Alcorn, it's back to the drawing board. You hate to see that 9-game winning streak come to an end in the first round, but it happened. A&M lives to fight another day, and we'll see what they do in the semifinal tomorrow, where they face the winner of the semifinal on Friday, where they face the winner of tomorrow's Texas Southern Jackson State game. So should be a very interesting semifinal, and tonight's quarterfinal should be interesting. Grambling Alabama State rematch from Saturday. I'm interested to see if the Tigers are going to be back on track, or if State can continue the momentum from that victory. So with that being said, man, I'm your tour guide around the SWAC signing out, and I'll see y'all later tonight. So y'all have a good evening and enjoy the rest of the SWAC tournament today, and I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.